Welcome back to another episode of the Eddie Donan Show. First and foremost, thank you so much for watching and for all your feedback. And I welcome my partner and co-host, Matthew Finkelstein. How you doing, man?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
What episode is this?
This is episode number 11.
11.
Can you believe that? You haven't been here for all 11 episodes.
Not 11, no.
How many have you done?
4 of them.
4 of them? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were keeping track.
No.
It's that painful, eh?
A little bit, but not as much as the first one.
So everyone that's watching, you guys have probably seen Matthew has been into the video a little bit more. I'm encouraging him to get out there, creating more content and branding himself a little bit more.
Yeah, it's breaking that comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just try and do something different, get out of that comfort zone, trying new things, getting the videos out there. And it's, I guess the most encouraging part is the feedback I've been getting from people.
Yeah.
So it's really positive, and you know what? Just going to keep doing it.
Got to keep it up, man.
Got to keep having fun with it.
One of these days, I'm just going to leave and you do the podcast yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
sure,
that'll be good. That'll be fun.
I would have changed the name now.
You know what I remember is the first time that we did the podcast, first time I had you in the show, you were so tense. You were like dressed up. It just seemed like you were going for a job interview, man. It was like, yeah.
That's what I felt like.
And you got it.
That's when I got the job.
And now you're more relaxed. You're more yourself. And we'll have a little bit of fun doing these.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we've had a pretty busy summer, very eventful with the interest rate hikes, with everything that's happening on the market, lots of questions. But today I wanted to do something different. So I get a lot of questions about people who are going to be putting their house up for sale, and they want to know what the process is like. What's it like to be a seller and how you can successfully sell your house in this market or in any market. And I find that's one of the main questions that we get all the time, right? Mm-hmm. First of all, when people are thinking of putting their houses on the market, it's like, what's that process like? A lot of people haven't sold a house in years, or it's their first time selling.
Yeah. And there's 3 things you always say for people that are selling the house.
Yeah. Well, sellers all want the same thing, right? If you look at it this way, first of all, sellers want to net the most money.
Right.
Okay. So get the most money in their pocket. That's key, right?
Absolutely.
In any market. I've never met a seller who does not want to make more money. Mm-hmm. Have you?
No, that's
ever in my life, right? Secondly, is that they want to do it fast.
Yes.
Most people, and I'm going to go ahead and generalize, they want to get it quicker, done a sale quicker rather than later.
Yeah.
And sometimes, depending on the market conditions, that can be challenging, but they want to sell it for the most money possible.
Because they usually have to make a decision.
Correct.
Based on that number.
Correct.
And everyone's kind of waiting for that number.
Yeah.
And then, you want to do it fast because of the third reason.
Yeah. And they want to do it with the least hassles possible.
Exactly.
The least headaches. And that's the main thing. Whenever somebody's looking to put their house on the market, that's what they're thinking. The number one is number one, right? Pricing. Everyone thinks pricing. But as the process goes along, people think, well, this is taking too long. I'd like to do it quicker. And then the third, once you get an offer and you're going through the due diligence period from the buyers, you can see that a lot of hassles, a lot of headaches can occur. So what most sellers would want, I would think, it's to sell it fast, to sell it for top dollar and with the least amount of headaches.
Absolutely.
Now, in this particular episode, I want to talk to you about how we achieve that.
How do we do that?
What kind of steps to take. And this is not going to be a sales pitch for you guys to hire me. I want to provide a glimpse into what we do at the Eddie Donan team whenever somebody picks up the phone and says, hey, we need help selling our house. Like, what is it the first thing that we start doing? So first and foremost, whenever you're looking into selling a house, you have to look at it from a different optic. Because I think the mistake that most people make, everyone makes, I would say, is that they're very in love with their own home.
Of course. It's my house. I live here. It's my house. I love it. And you also want you want the most money for it. So you're always going to...
Well, you're always going to hype it up, right? And you have to look at it from a detached point of view, right? You have to look at it from a consumer point of view, and you have to look at it from a professional point of view. As a buyer, somebody who's going to come looking at your house, how are they going to see your house? So the first thing, whenever you're looking to sell your home, you have to prepare it. And the preparation stage is perhaps the most key.
Yep.
Because like everything in life, we need to prepare in order to show up well.
Yeah. It's the foundation of everything else that you're doing.
And I always tell people when we sit down with them, you've heard this line all the time, whenever you're going on a date or you're going on a job interview, wherever it is that you're going, you don't just roll out of bed and show up.
Right.
There's a certain level, a certain bare minimum that you do in order for you to get ready. Whether it's hopefully brushing your teeth, taking a shower, putting nice clothes on. You want to showcase who you are in the best possible light.
You're giving yourself a deep cleaning.
Correct. And that's no different with a house. Yep. And sometimes I see a mistake that sellers make is that they're in a rush or their house is what you would call a fixer-upper. Mm-hmm. And they feel, you know what, I'm just going to dump it on the market as is without doing any preparation. Mm-hmm. And they think that that's the way to go. And I think that's a mistake. Yep. So you have to prepare your home. Now, with the preparation on the home, the very first step is decluttering.
Yep.
There's been so many houses that you and I have listed that when we go and we do the first walkthrough or we meet the client originally, you can't even see the rooms.
No.
You can't visualize it.
You and I are thinking about the same one, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
The 4 bins. I had to take out 4 bins of stuff that had to come out of that house.
Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how people live. They've been living there for years. They accumulate things, and it is what it is.
But you can't show the house like that.
You can't show the house like that.
People have to be able to see the rooms, be able to envision themselves in it. Even if it's not renovated, they still have to be able to see, what do I have here? What's my canvas?
Correct. So decluttering is first.
Yeah.
Organization, getting rid of everything, right? Secondly, what everyone should be doing really is depersonalizing the property as much as possible, right? So you take away most of the junk, most of the things that don't fit. Then you want that property to be free from personal belongings, meaning like pictures, religious items. These are recommendations. Not everyone will take them, but this is the ideal, right? Because you want to look at it this way. Buyers are all about feeling too. It's not a logical process. Because I get home sellers that sometimes they fight me on this and they say, well, this is my picture. Why would I take it off? Right. Mm-hmm. But if you really look at it this way, you want to be able to make the potential buyer feel at home when they're walking in through your house. Right. And if you're looking at your wedding photos, if they're looking at your dog pictures, at your niece, your nephew, your son, what do? You show a lot of homes. What are buyers doing when they start seeing all these pictures?
They're focusing on those, not on the house.
Correct.
They're asking me questions about the family. They're asking me, what kind of dog is that? Things like that. And now they've lost track of what they're actually supposed to be doing there. And that's looking at the house.
Correct.
So you don't want people distracted.
Correct.
So focus on the house.
Yep. And then third point that I would say that's key, and these are all mandatory. These things that you have to do, whether you're selling a beautifully renovated home or you're selling a fixer-upper, you should definitely be decluttering, depersonalizing. The third point is a deep clean.
Yep.
Okay. And you might tell me, well, I'm not a dirty person. I clean every week. That's fine. You have to do a deep clean before you sell. Yep. Nothing is more pleasant than when you walk into a home and it smells fresh. Mm-hmm. You just feel a difference when it's been a deep clean. Yep. You can just feel it.
Absolutely.
So right before the pictures, right before the process actually starts, I always tell clients, do a deep clean.
Yep.
In some cases, if they have pets, it's more necessary than others, right? You need to do a gut cleaning. Yep. So there's many things that you want to do to make your home inviting. And I think that's a bare minimum.
Yeah.
Those 3 points that we touched.
And how many times have we done open houses where we've had cookies?
Yeah.
Just the smell of cookies.
It helps.
It helps. It puts people in a positive mood.
And it makes you hungry too. So it's not good to do open housing if you're dieting, if you have cookies, but it's fun. And now the fourth point in preparation, which I say should be done by most sellers, is staging.
Yeah.
Okay. Staging is, I would say, the equivalent of hair and makeup when you're going out. Staging is good. It's key. Statistically speaking, staged homes sell faster and for more money than homes that are not staged. And when I say staging, a lot of people think of the extremes, which we do as well. And it all depends on a case-by-case basis.
There's a range of it.
Correct.
Some houses don't need any. Some houses need a lot.
Correct. You get the thought for staging that you're going to take off all your furniture and you're going to bring brand new furniture, accessories, and everything. And that's certainly possible, and it's a way to go. But it doesn't have to be that extreme. Sometimes you can work with the furniture that you have at home. You can rearrange pieces to make them fit better into the spaces they're in. So you don't have to go all out and replace your furniture, but there should be some sense of decoration. Because staging, what it really is that you're maximizing your home's attributes. You want to highlight what's good about the house, and you want to minimize, or can I say hide, any potential flaws. So for example, if you're in a small room and you have 3 couches, they might be very comfortable for you to hang out and watch TV, but it makes the room look small. It's not going to photograph well. It's not going to show well. So as comfortable as it might seem, it's not the best layout for you. But if you were to empty it out and if you were to decorate it perhaps with one piece, it's going to look a lot better.
Yeah.
It's going to look bigger.
Show a lot better,
and it's going to show the attributes and minimize that small room effect. So staging is something that we recommend to most of the clients. And a lot of real estate agents and teams offer this service to their clients. But even if you decide to go via a route that you're not using a realtor or using a realtor that doesn't offer the services, there's plenty of staging companies that you can reach out to directly that can assist you with this. And believe me, it does a big difference. Doesn't have to be an all-out staging, but just minimum little things that are done, they'll definitely help.
So that's everything for preparing it. All right. So the next step.
Next step is definitely what I would say it's going to determine whether you succeed or you fail.
Yep.
Right. And it's pricing.
It's pricing. Absolutely.
All right. So pricing is key in every market.
Yes.
So you can be watching this video in the hottest seller's market, or you can be watching it in the most extreme buyer's market, and it will still apply. If you price it correctly, the home will sell faster. It's going to maximize the dollar for what it sells for, and it's going to give you the least headaches possible because the right price is really what's going to guide everything. If you choose the wrong price, you're going to be sitting on the market potentially longer.
Yeah.
The house will not sell. If you overprice your home is going to be used as a comparison tool to sell better price homes that are in your neighborhood.
It's going to show value in the other homes, not yours.
Absolutely.
But if you go back to the first things you had talked about, you're not going to put you're not going to net the most money in your own pocket.
Correct.
It's not going to be a smooth process. There's going to be headaches, and it's not going to sell fast.
Correct. And that's when you're talking about overpricing. But if you underprice it, because that happens as well, you're looking at sometimes that the market changes so fast and you price it low and it sells in a day. You take the very first offer and they give you full asking price and it's done. Well, how do you know you can have gotten more?
Right.
Now you also put less money in your pocket because perhaps if you would have priced it a little bit higher, you could have got an extra $20,000, $30,000, $50,000.
Yeah. You always have that doubt in your head.
Absolutely. I believe that pricing is a science as much as it is an art.
Right. So how do we pick the right price?
Correct. I don't want to just give you fluffer words in here. When I'm picking the price, here's something that I've always done. First of all, very obvious is that you're looking for comparable homes in your neighborhood.
Right.
Okay. What's a comparable home? A comparable home is any house that a buyer would choose from between yours and the other one. So what does that mean? So for example, if I have a buyer that's looking for a home that's $1 million in a certain pocket of Richmond Hill, let's call it Mill Pond. How many $1 million homes have sold in Mill Pond? How many homes of that caliber can the buyer see? That's your comparable. Doesn't mean that they look the same, but it's in that price point. They would appeal to the same buyer if they were looking. So the first thing I do is I look at the comparables over the last 30-day period. And now you might ask me, why 30 days? Why not 90? Why not 120? Well, I do tend to go as far back as a year in a lot of cases. But if I can find comparables over the last 30 days that indicate a price range, then that's better because it's more recent.
Right.
Markets change all the time. The market that we had last year is different than this year. Last month is different than this month. And next month will be different as well. So if you can find recent comparables, that's your gold mine. So first of all, look at what has sold around similar homes, how much they have sold for. It's very important. Number two, you want to see what your competition looks like. Okay. So let's take a basis that the majority of homes in your area have sold for $1 million. Comparable homes in your neighborhood have sold for $1 million over the last 30 days. Now let's look at what's listed. Because at the end of the day, the buyer can't buy those homes that are already sold. They're going to buy what's on the market. So how do you stack up with what's on the market?
Right.
Is everything listed for 800? Then you're going to look pretty bad. You're going to stick like a sore thumb being at $1 million.
Right.
That's your competition. So both of those things are very important. And that's one of the things that you have to look at. And I know one of the things that you do, Matthew, when you're servicing your clients, and perhaps anybody that's looking to sell their home, they can do it themselves. So you actually go and you preview the homes that are on the market.
Yeah.
Right. You try to preview what has sold.
Exactly.
You try to preview what's on the market because you want to know exactly how it compares, not only on paper on a computer, but getting the feel of being inside the house.
Right.
Usually when I'm about to take a listing, I get a call maybe 3-4 weeks before, just thinking about it and whatnot. And I make a point of writing it down and then just keeping an eye on that market and previewing whatever's on the market then, whatever's been selling and whatever comes up. Right. So by the time I sit down with it, they can say, hey, listen, this sold for this much. And I was also in the house and it really compares to yours, or it's better or it's worse. You kind of got to get that feel. Mm-hmm. Now, the third point that I think that's important for pricing is your months of inventory. Months of inventory pretty much will help you determine whether we're in a buyer's market, meaning that the buyer has the advantage, in a balanced market, okay, meaning that, it's kind of a tug of war, anybody can win, or in a seller's market. Now, if you're in the GTA, we've been in a seller's market for, the last decade, with occasional dips in and out of that zone, but meaning that there's more buyers than there are sellers. And that's why you get this multiple offers, this bidding war effect, right? There's more buyers trying to get into the market or get into that home, and there's people putting their homes up for sale. So what you want to do to calculate the months of inventory is very simple, is you want to see how many homes currently exist on the market in your particular area or city. And then you want to see how many homes sell per month. So very simple. For example, there is 100 homes for sale in your area right now. And you find out that there's only 20 homes that sell on average per month. Right. That tells you there's 5 months worth of inventory. Yeah. And that can lead on to believing that you might be in a buyer's market, right? Because there's more inventory. Right. It would take longer to consume.
So the longer it takes to sell houses, more of a buyer's market.
Correct.
If it's selling fast, if all the inventory is gone in a month,
correct,
then you're in a seller's market.
Correct. Yeah. And this sequence is important because first you determine how much they've sold for. Second, you determine your competition. And third, you're trying to get a beat for the market. And it's very important. And that brings me to another point to remember. Your pricing strategy, your pricing was going to be determined by those three factors, but also by the direction of the market. Okay. And this is another point that I calculated when I'm doing a pricing analysis, is not only what the months of inventory is today at the time that we're listing, but what was the months of inventory last month? Right. What was the month before? So it gives me a trajectory. If I see that months of inventory are getting smaller, it tells me that more than likely the market's heating up and the pricing might be going up. So I'm going to adjust my pricing strategy accordingly. Right. If I see that months of inventory have been growing over the last few months, like many pockets of the GTA, then I'm thinking, you know what, market's flattening or it might be even going down. Right. So I have to price it accordingly and being more competitive. And I feel that fourth point is one of the things that a lot of people forget about when they're doing their pricing. They just imagine, where it's going, but you have to actually really be able to justify, hey, the market is going up or the market's not going up. They have to have some sort of backup for it. Now, one of the other things that I like to do as well is having a pulse on the market. Okay. You can always rely on your agent to do it and your realtor to represent you. We do it for our clients, but I think you agree. It's good to have people when you go see clients that they know the house as well. They've done this homework themselves. Yeah. Right. They've called the agents and they found out, well, how many offers did you have on that listing in particular? Yeah. Like you do your homework. And I really recommend that for pricing. It's key that you do your homework.
All right. So now we've talked about how we're pricing it correctly. What are your marketing materials? What do we need to do for promoting it?
Yeah, I think that'd be the third point, right? Once you've prepared your property to its best, right? Now you determine what's the price that's going to attract the most buyers and it's going to give you the most amount of money. Now you have to...
And you got to promote that.
You have to promote it. Yeah. You have to have marketing materials, right? So at the very minimum, in today's age, you need to have professional photography done.
100%. Okay? Everything now is on social media. Yeah. Yeah. You have to have the professional photography, videography. You have to have all that stuff. Even to the extent now, the 3D modeling of houses, like you need to have all of it now.
Nothing kills me more than when I see photos on the MLS or Kijiji or Facebook.
You don't like photos with your camera?
Yeah.
No, that's not for you?
It's not acceptable nowadays, honestly. Everyone I think has access to a real estate photographer. Again, like a lot of people watching this video might want to sell their home privately, and that's fine. You can call a photography company and pay them X amount of dollars and they'll photograph your home and it's worth every single penny.
Of course, because you spent so much time cleaning your house, decluttering it, staging it, getting it ready.
Correct.
You want to have the right photographer, the right photos and videos to showcase that. The bad photos, they're blurry, they're not catching at the right angle and stuff. You just wasted all your time cleaning it and getting the house ready. So the two of them go hand in hand.
Hand in hand. And I can't emphasize enough the pictures. If you really think about it from a market point of view as a buyer, right? You're in realtor.ca and you're looking at 30, 40 homes that are in your price point, right? You're going to choose the home that appeals the most based on pictures because you're not in that house. So you're going to go and see, well, you know what? My agent Matthew said to pick 3-4 homes to go see on the weekend. My top 4, I'm going to choose based on photos because I don't have more information on the house.
That's all you have. That's photos, videos.
Correct. So you want them to be pristine, top notch. So professional photos is an absolute must, not an excuse. Video. A lot of the buyers are doing more and more research now before they even step into the house.
Yep.
They want to be able to see it. They want to be able to walk it through. So a nice video tour is also mandatory, I would say now, bare minimum, as well as floor plans.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, buyers want to be able to see the layout of the house, not just photos that are selected. So they want to get a clear picture of what it is that they're buying.
The technology is out there now where if you don't have a floor plan, you can get the house scanned.
Correct.
So the technology is there. You just have to, use professional photographers.
Like even the floor plan, you can even do it on your phone.
You can measure it,
I tried doing that on a couple of listings and then I figured, let's just pay the professionals to do it.
Pay the professionals to do it because it's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can do it. So these are bare minimum things. This is what I like to call, the promotional materials, right? This is what you're going to use to send out into the world and let people know that your house is up for sale. That's what's going to be representing your house. So they have to be good, right? Another thing that people often forget about, and in this day and age, it's not acceptable, is they're forgetting the neighborhood.
That's right.
The house doesn't exist in a bubble in itself. Yep. What's surrounding the house?
What are the amenities? What's around the house? The schools, shopping, community centers. What features are out there? The last days, the one we just put up, I was filming up by the beach.
Right.
Out at a marina.
Right.
Because I was in the area.
Of course.
You need that.
So you need to have some sort of marketing or promotional materials, not only for the house itself, but for the neighborhood. What we like to do a lot is, area videos, drone videos. So we want to showcase, where it is that you live, a sense of community, what schools are close by, what parks are close by. Is it close to the highway? Is it close to a mall, restaurant? People want to envision themselves walking out of their houses and living in an enjoyable environment. And there's always an advantage to your location. So you might be watching this video and thinking, well, there's nothing around me. Well, that in itself can be an advantage because there's people that want to be kind of secluded, very private. So don't be afraid to showcase your neighborhood and your area. I think that's important.
There's a great question that you always ask the sellers. Why do you live there? Because the reason you chose that house is most likely the reason the next person's going to want to buy your house. Because they're looking for the same thing you were looking for.
Correct. And that's 100% the next thing I was actually going to talk about. Is you need to have a highlight sheet. Now, it doesn't have to be printed. It can be actually electronic. I find electronic works a lot better now than flyers. People don't want to be grabbing flyers, putting in their cars and throwing it out. It's mostly electronic. PDF, it will work well. But with the reasons why you bought that house. And it doesn't have to say, this is why I bought this house. No. Just say, why I enjoy living here. And then you can mention things like the location, like the family room has a lot of light, the beautiful renovation in the kitchen that you did. You can throw in little quirks, little conveniences about the house that might not really fit a real estate description. Then you can add them on a sheet at a summary, and that's really going to differentiate and it's going to highlight more features regarding your house. So that's a very good point that you brought. Why do you like living in there? Why do you like your neighborhood? And I think that kind of covers a lot of the backup material that you should have ready in order to start what's going to be your marketing plan.
Right. So now we have all this marketing plan, all these photos and videos. What do you do with them? How do we promote the house?
Okay, so this is where the fun part begins. So right now, everything that you've been doing to this point, preparing and pricing, promotional material, it's all really what we could say preparation. You're just getting ready. Now, once your house is in the market, you need to be exposing it to the most number of buyers possible, because that's what's really going to determine your success in it. So to make it very simple, your home should be on realtor.ca. If you're really serious about selling your home and maximizing your sale price, getting the most money, you have to have all the eyes possible. And that happens on realtor.ca. Now, even in my opinion, even if you're selling the home privately, if you're doing it yourself, now there's companies right now that will list it on realtor.ca and they're not charging you a commission.
Right.
So you can go ahead. If you're one of those people that don't want to pay a commission, hey, I get you. It's fine. Go ahead and still list it on realtor.ca. So you get all the buyers that are looking there.
It's the number one site. That's where in the GTA, that's where everyone's going.
Correct.
And it's linked to the, to Treb. So you're going to get 80, 90,000 realtors that are going to see it as well.
Correct.
It's worth the investment.
It's worth the investment. So at the very, very minimum, the big marketing effort is putting it on realtor.ca. Okay. Secondly, syndicating it to all the big company websites.
Mm-hmm.
You have huge real estate companies, Remax, Royal LePage, Century 21, Right at Home. I know I'm going to forget a few, but you get the point, right? Great companies that spend big dollars on marketing to attract buyers to their websites. So your house should be there.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just makes common sense.
That's where the buyers are going.
That's where the buyers are going.
Right.
Aside from that, it should really be on all the classified websites. So anything like Kijiji, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, there should be an ad in there because there's a possibility that a buyer is also looking there, especially in places where there's tight inventory. Buyers tend to look all over the place because they can't find things on realtor.ca.
Right.
So it should be there. Another point that you should follow as well is blast out your listing to other agents in the area that have sold houses there. That's something that we like to do.
Yep.
So one of the things that I personally like to do is when I have a listing coming up, let's say in X area, and first thing I'll do is I'll look at the last 30 deals that were done in that area, and I'll contact those buyer agents directly, and I'll send them the listing in case that they have another buyer there. I can assume that those agents trade in that area and they might have a buyer for my house.
Yeah.
So why not send them out that property? Extra effort that not everyone does, but it pays off. You'd be surprised how many people say, yeah, you know what? I have another buyer that's looking in the area as well. So these are things that you can definitely maximize. But I think one of the biggest points, aside from realtor.ca, is that you really have to, I guess, put your market researcher hat on, right? And you have to really figure out and fine tune who your buyer is. And that's key because that's going to create that extra push in your home to get more traffic and to really get more money, potentially more offers for your house. So everyone's going to be doing the realtor.ca and the websites. The majority of people will be doing that, right? But if you have a target buyer, you can specifically start marketing the property to them via Facebook, via Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. These are paid ads. You really want to make sure you know who your buyer potentially could be. And how do you do that? Just start looking at your neighborhood. For me, it'd be very easy to figure out who my potential buyer would be. I just look outside of my window and I go to the park and I see who's moved in. And that tells me, okay, like, for example, they might be moving from Toronto to York region. That's my buyer. They were selling a condo and now they're buying a 2-story home, detached. So that tells you the demographic of the person. And then you can really fine tune a marketing campaign that will target them and that will hit them. And it will make it more likely for them to come see your home because you're speaking directly to them. And I think that's something that's often forgotten, but it's key. And that extra buyer or two that you can pick up from such a marketing campaign can mean an extra $20,000, $30,000 easily in your pocket.
Yeah. So it's another type. It's another way of investing your money into the sale of your house. Like you do have to spend a bit of money in investment, in marketing promotions, but like you said, it's going to return on that investment because you have to get it out there to as many buyers as possible. And ideally you get 2 or 3 buyers that come with an offer and then you've got a great situation.
Yeah. And that's a correct word. It's investing because as we said before, listen, you don't have to do any of this. You can literally just put a for sale sign outside and wait for somebody on the road to come and talk to you about your house. And if you price it low enough, somebody will buy it. It's not going to be an issue. But these type of steps and techniques are for you to maximize that return, to make the most amount of money.
The first thing we talked about.
Correct.
Netting the most amount of money into your pocket.
Correct.
So you have to do all these steps to achieve that. But you can, like you said, you can sell it without doing all these. But did you get the most money?
Absolutely. And this is something that, again, we do in every market, whether it's hot, whether it's cold market, buyers, seller. These are proven techniques that have been done for years that are designed to get you the most amount of money. And it works on common sense. You're preparing your home. You're making it look good. You're using good marketing materials, right? You're exposing it to as many potential buyers as possible.
That's right.
This is the way to go.
Yep.
That brings me to another point that's equally important is what happens during the time that your home's for sale.
That's right. So, I mean, you've done all this. There's lots of people interested and they're going to book some showings.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
That's what we want.
Now what do we have to do?
The more showings, the better.
Absolutely.
So here are things to avoid while you're on the market. you want to be able to show your home to potential buyers at all times.
Yes.
Within reason. Okay. Nobody's going to come in at midnight or 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So we're talking within anywhere between 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. It's all fair game.
Sure.
So you want to have your house accessible. That means when you leave in the morning, you leave your house clean.
Right.
If it's staged, you put all the furniture, all the cushions, everything back to what it was like during the time you took your pictures.
Right.
Your house is clean. There's no dishes in the sink. The toilets are clean. All these things have to happen. You have to be ready for showings.
Absolutely.
Because you don't want somebody calling at 10 a.m. while you're at work saying, hey, I want to come in at noon because my buyer from out of town really wants to see this place. And then you refuse that showing.
Right.
That guy goes and he buys another house and bye buyer.
After all the effort you've put in, after all the work you've done, you've now said no to the buyer that could have bought your house.
Correct.
But that's the goal.
Correct.
Everything you've done was to get to that point.
Correct.
And now you said no.
Yeah.
It's a waste of everything you did before that.
Everything. And sometimes people don't realize the importance of that. You want, in any sales situation, whenever you're selling something, you want to remove as many barriers from the sale as possible. So the fact that you're not showing your home at all times is putting a barrier, a very big barrier, a very big block between the sale happening. So you want to remove that. So you want to be accessible during showing.
You want to make it easy for the buyers.
Correct. You want to make it easy for them. They shouldn't have to work around your schedule.
Right.
To see your house.
Yeah.
In a very hot market, that might be okay. Because there's only one home for sale and there's 30 buyers.
Right.
Right. But in a balanced market, you know what they tell us.
Yeah.
Like I'll try to book a showing and they'll say, no, we can't come at 7, come at 10 p.m. Well, 10 p.m. I'm already at home sleeping, right?
Yeah.
So I'll tell the buyer, I'll say, hey, they don't want to show it. Like, okay, fine. Let's go see the other ones.
Yeah.
They don't really care. Very, very seldomly they'll still go back and say, well, I really want to see it.
Right.
Right. They'll go see the other homes that are available. And out of those homes, they might like one a lot. And then they'll forget about yours completely. But had they seen your home, you probably would have been in contention. You at least stood a chance.
You would have, yeah.
So you want to be available for showing. You want to be flexible also during the time periods that you're showing the property. Because a lot of the times that I see is that home sellers get an appointment at 7 o'clock, say from 7 to 8. And then the agent's running late and he comes in at 8:01 or 8:02.
Yeah.
And now the seller doesn't want to show it. You want to be accessible. You want to be flexible. These are nuisances that happen.
It's nuisance. It's inconvenient, but it's part of life. People get delayed. Things happen. We've all been delayed going to appointments. You may have a doctor's appointment. You get delayed. You're in traffic. This is no different.
Absolutely.
Things happen in life. So we need to be a little bit flexible, a little understanding.
Correct. I agree 100%. It's in your best interest. I always tell my clients, hey, listen, at the end of the day, it's your house. You're in control. I'm here to represent you. If you don't want to show it, then what can I do? Right. It is what it is. Yeah. But it's in your best interest because the most buyers coming through your house, the most offers. Another thing that's very important is that once you've generated all of this traffic, all these people coming in, what are they saying? What's the feedback?
Right.
That's the best market research you can do. You have people in your house, you presented it well, you prepared, you have all the marketing material. What do you think of my house, man?
Yeah.
So one of the mistakes that I see people making is that they don't ask for feedback. So they don't know. I asked them, hey, how's the market reacting to your home? Well, I don't know. Yeah.
And that's what we do we email probably 2 or 3 times every agent after they've shown the house.
Call, text.
And then we're calling, texting, following up with them. Because that feedback is so valuable. Because if they weren't interested, why?
Correct.
Is there anything that we can do, as the agent, as the homeowner, what can we do? Is there anything we can change? Is it a simple fix?
Yeah.
Or just give us an understanding as to, why they're not interested.
Correct.
So it's invaluable.
Yeah, I think it's key. And it's one of the things that sometimes you might forget. And it just gives you more tools for when the big moment that you're negotiating comes. And we're going to get to that, to the negotiation. Which I think it's what everyone thinks about is how to actually piece it all together and get a good deal.
We've had all these showings, had buyers come through, and now we get an offer. So now what?
Well, the main thing that you have to keep in mind at that point is that you should be very, very educated throughout the whole process. Throughout that whole showing process, it's all about education. That's your homework. If you have an agent, your agent's selling your home, you should also be working and educating yourself on what's on the market. So it's important that you know what has sold since you've been listed, how much it's sold for, how long they've been on the market,
right?
How many offers did that particular house get?
Yep.
What kind of strategy was used? What pricing strategy was used? So it's going to give you all of the tools in order for you to negotiate. I think for negotiation, information is power because we can all agree that once you're selling, you have a number in mind, which is the number that you want. And that has to be backed up by facts and by market statistics. So I guess the strongest point that I can give you is really keep on doing your homework and your research. So you know that if an offer comes in, you can determine whether it's a good offer or it's a crap offer. And there's some of both.
Oh, yeah.
But the worst thing that you can do is to let go of a really good offer, thinking that it's not good. And then a month later, you find out, hey, I really should have taken that.
Absolutely.
Or you take the wrong offer and then you think, well, I could have gotten more money. So you want to make sure that you're equipped to make the right decision.
But it's also not only the price.
Yep.
There's other aspects of the entire offer. You got to, keep in mind all the conditions, the terms, closing date, the deposit. Is it a strong financial buyer?
Absolutely.
These are all things you need to look at as the overall package of the offer itself.
Yeah. And I think you've said it. That's key. It's not only the price, it's a deposit. Does the closing date match with yours? Are the offers coming in with conditions that are not, I would say, standard, that are perhaps something for you to be weary of? If you're listed with an agent, the agent should be able to guide you and navigate you through this. But if you're listed privately, you should at least have a lawyer taking a look at your offer.
100%.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing this. You don't want to be venturing into these type of things.
Yeah. We all have different jobs.
Correct.
And you go to the doctor for a certain thing, you go to a dentist for a certain thing. Somebody's writing up a contract. This is the biggest investment of our lives, $1 million, $2 million. There's a lot of legal terms in there. You really want to make sure that you're double checking it.
Yeah.
A lot of conditions can be put in there. What does it mean? Chattels, fixtures included, not included. There's a lot of gray areas. You want to make sure that these things are checked by a lawyer, by a professional.
Yeah, you want to have a professional looking at it.
Yeah.
I feel that after 16 years, there's nothing that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
So when I'm representing somebody, I feel confident reading the agreement of purchase and sale, and I feel pretty darn good about the advice I'll give you. But if you're doing it on your own, and the last time you sold a home was 10 years ago, right? Or you're using a minimum service realtor that's not going to read this for you because it's not in the service packages, then get somebody to do it for you. As you said, professional. There's a lot of nuisances that people don't realize that you're signing. Course. It looks standard, but they don't understand, right? Yeah. On a contract, usually there's going to be clauses for further visits. There's going to be representation and warranty clauses.
Right.
There's going to be what's included, what's excluded. So you're really signing a lot of standard clauses, which is fine, but you need to know at least what they mean at the very minimum to avoid conflicts and have a smooth closing.
Yeah. I mean, we've recently seen offers with assignments in them.
Absolutely.
Conditional on the buyer selling their property. How many days should you give them? 10 days, a month? What happens if the price goes down? What happens if it goes up? There's a lot of things to consider.
Yeah, I agree. So it's important that you have all of the information available to you. The best type of power that I want you to get from this is this information. That's why I try to be as open as possible into sharing as much of what we do. And there's endless of things that you do that I can't quantify because we just do them automatically, right? But there's so many things that we can do for somebody. But I'm trying to give you at least the very basic, because these are fundamentals that in any market, I think anywhere in the world, if you apply these things that we're talking about, you're going to get a more successful sale than if you don't.
So now I've got some frequent questions that people have asked when it comes to selling their house. So the number one question we get is, when is the best time to sell?
Yeah. I always like to say this is my smart ass answer to it. It's whenever it's good for you. I believe fantastic. I believe that time in the market doesn't really exist. I think that nobody sells their home just for fun. There's got to be a reason for you, right? In some cases, the reason's financial. It's really getting really crunched and tight for you to make your payments. It's not, it doesn't make sense anymore, right? Sometimes the reason is that the house is too small and you got to move.
Downsizing.
Yeah, upsize or downsize, right? Sometimes you get the fact that you don't like the neighborhood anymore. It's too far from work, right? You change jobs. So all these things.
Relocation.
So a move should be based on your needs, not really in a time. Because I think when people ask me this question, is they expect me to say, well, list it in the spring or list it in the summer or list it in the winter. They want to get a specific answer. And that doesn't exist.
Right.
Because in the Toronto real estate market, there's always buyers and there's always sellers. There's always deals happening. There's houses that sell in January. There's houses that sell on January 1st.
Yeah.
January 1st and Christmas days. There's transactions that are happening. So there's no bad time to be in the market specifically. It's really got to suit your needs.
Yeah. You have to balance what's happening with the market, but with what you need. What are your personal needs? Right. Why are you selling?
Correct.
So if that aligns with the market, great. That's what that's what you need to do.
The only thing to add on to that I want to mention is that if you're in a situation where it's financial, and that happens, and we've seen it happen with the interest rates now, that there's people that are struggling to make payments or falling behind, then you want to do it sooner rather than later. Right. Because you don't want to be in a situation where it's too late. You don't know how long it's going to take for your home to sell.
Right.
So you want to be able to have plenty of time for you to sell it, pay the bank, and move on with your life.
So, okay. You mentioned selling in the winter. So what if I've got a really beautifully landscaped backyard? I got a pool, deck, how do I showcase that when it's covered in 2 feet of snow?
Yeah. So again, planning ahead.
Yeah.
So what I like to do with my clients is around this time of the year, if they have beautiful landscaping, I call them and I say, hey, Matthew, just wanted to make sure you're not thinking of selling this winter, are you? And if the answer is yes, then I'm going to get a photographer to come in right away and take photos while the weather's still nice.
Yeah.
And that's what you should do. So if you're planning on selling in the winter, call your agent and say, hey, I'm going to be selling in the winter, but you know that I've spent a couple $100,000 with landscaping and I need to show it off.
Right.
So then your agent or yourself, you can call a photographer, come in, showcase with video, photos, do it like it'd be in the summer, have it ready, and then list it in the winter with that marketing material. And it works wonders. I've personally helped many buyers buy backyard oases in the winter.
Yeah.
And we went based on, the photos, the video, the description, and it was great. It worked out well.
All right. So what happens if I have a tenant? So I know right now having a tenant, there's a lot of, I guess you could say, issues going on right now. What do we do if we have a tenant right now?
Okay. So the tenant situation can complicate things as follows. The tenant generally has no skin in the game. Okay. So all the things that I told you that you have to do, declutter, depersonalize, deep clean, they really don't feel a need to do it because they don't really care. They're not invested into this, right? So the house, correct. There's no benefit. The house is not prepared. And most tenants mean well. They're not trying to block your sale. It's just, they don't feel like doing it. They're working. They have kids. They have a life outside of the sale of your home. So all of those things are probably going to be skipped. Then the promotion, the nice pictures and videos, they're not going to look as nice because the place will more than likely be cluttered. It's not going to be staged. It's not going to be as ready for sale. So you're already right there on the first 2 points that we talked about at a little bit of a disadvantage. Okay. Now, if we go to another point, which is showability, access to the property. Again, we're talking about tenants have their own lives. They might be working from home. They have kids after school. They might have special needs. They are not going to be as friendly, usually, accommodating your showings as you would be. Because you're going to make $1 million when you sell your home. They're not. They're in fact going to be inconvenienced because more than likely, they're going to have to go and find another house. So you're already at a disadvantage just by seeing that because you're not preparing such a good product. And now the window when your house can be shown is more than likely going to be smaller. So that's going to decrease your buyer pool. The best advice I can give you is try to sell your home when it's vacant,
right?
Or when you live in the property. That's flat out the best thing that you can do to maximize the dollar figure. I don't want to throw numbers, but from my experience, personal listings that I've done, and also from what I see on the market data, there's a significant, and I'm not talking $2,000 here, there's a significant difference when a property is tenanted to when a property is vacant. So you can go ahead and have the conversation with your tenant and you can ask them, not demand them, because the laws are very clear that the tenant does not have to leave. But you can ask them, hey, I'm thinking of selling my home. It would be helpful if it could be vacant. Is that something that you could help me out with? It doesn't hurt to ask, but you can't request it. So I would say seek legal counsel just to make sure that you know exactly what the tenant's rights are, what your rights are. That's one of the things that I do with all my clients that have a tenanted property. I get them in touch with my paralegal right away for them to interpret the Residential Tenancies Act. You need to have a good handle on that and try to work together as good as possible in order for you to have a good result. If the tenant is in there, then try to make the best of the situation. Maybe your tenant's willing to cooperate and allow more showings and prepare the house really well, then that's a bonus. But just try to work with the tenant in order to make a successful transaction.
All right, last question here is, are open houses effective?
I would say open houses can be part of your marketing plan in creating traffic. That being said, in my opinion, in my experience, most of the buyers should come at an appointment only, by appointment only. That's my preferred method. Because I find that when buyers book an appointment, they're more serious, they're pre-qualified, they're coming with their agents, they're more seriously in there to buy rather than just to see what's out there and shopping around.
There's intent from them.
Correct.
They looked at photos, they went through different listings, contacted their agent, booked an appointment. There's a process there.
Correct.
Open house, you're getting a lot of neighbors been driving down, in the area. Oh, let's go take a look at that house today.
Right.
There really isn't that intent there. And how many people are spontaneously walking into a house and then spontaneously thinking of buying it and changing their entire life just because they happen to notice an open house sign? Yeah. The intent needs to be there.
Did you nailed it? That's great. I never heard that before, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Right,
everybody.
The majority of people, in an open house, it's great for agents. That's why you see a lot of times we do open house, because for me, there's a lot of value in sitting there and using your home as an office, right? I have buyer X coming here without an agent, buyer C coming here without an agent, and then I have a potential home seller. It's a neighbor that's curious to see how much your home will sell for and what it looks for. And then I'm going to ask him for a listing later on. So as an agent, I'd like to do open house.
That's great.
But as a home seller, is it really going to create that traffic of buyers into my home? No. The buyers are created through the other marketing methods that we have. Right. So I've sold homes without open houses. Even better than when there is an open house. So the open house is more of a marketing promotional tool for your agent. It can be useful sometimes when there's a lot of traffic. So for example, when you have a tenant and your tenant has agreed to leave from 12 to 4 p.m.
Perfect.
Well, that's a perfect time to do an open house. There's going to be agents and everyone coming in, but it's not necessary in most cases.
All right. Perfect.
So we're all done. I hope this has been helpful. Try to provide a lot of value and insights into what selling your home is really like. And again, thank you for all your support. Thank you, Matthew, for coming and doing this and breaking out of your shell.
Lots of fun.
And I look forward to creating many more of these for you guys. Take care.